Greetings and welcome. This is Ernie Silvers from the Silvers Connection. Today we are talking about you building your mental toolbox to make you a better performer. And today I have with me Patti Cotton. Patti is a dear friend of mine. Patti is the founder and CEO of the Cotton Group LLC, a sought-after speaker, contributing to many papers. I noticed, Patti, you're quite a writer. You are more than 25 years of leadership experience. She has been a diplomat. My goodness, she's been in leadership positions with Loma Linda University. She has so many talents and skills. It's hard for me to believe that the resume here, the bio is like 3 pages long. Oh my goodness, Patti, please. Patti, welcome to the Silvers Connection.
Ernie, thank you. It's nice to be here and so great to be your friend because you've painted me up, I'll tell you what.
I'm telling you, you have to pump the guest up, right? So everything goes good. So Patti, help us understand a little bit about the Cotton Group and what you do and the expertise that you bring to the Silvers Connection today.
So Cotton Group is an organizational development and management company with executive coaching. And I'm actually hiring employees now, so it's no longer a solopreneurship. We're scaling, but we help businesses to grow and to move successfully through transitions so that they can meet the future now.
That is awesome. And what we're talking about here on Silvers Connection at this particular time, as we all know, we have a very unique opportunity going on. And I like to talk about the opportunity side and not the crisis and the chaos of our COVID situation. So we're talking to folks who are recent grads, soon to be grads, those who are caught in transition, maybe got taken down in this COVID crisis, are looking for something new. So we're talking to folks who are looking to develop their leadership skills and be something unique and something better and more highly desirable. So Patti, we're going to start from here. Using the vision of driving a car, we tend to steer in the direction of our focus. So where should our focus be now?
Our focus should be on the direction and not on the final destination. We can have a final destination in mind, but it's like any road trip, Ernie. When we set our sights on a particular destination, we will be presented with many bifurcations, road shifts and changes, changing conditions and so forth, and some opportunities that we might not have noticed before. So if we can head in that direction, but be open to change, open to opportunity, that's where that sits right now. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And just a slight question though, for my little pea brain, I have to understand, setting a direction seems a tiny bit vague for me. Since our brains are given, they like to work on specifics.
Yes.
How do we do that? I don't know where I'm going per se or where I'm going to end up, but how does that work? How do I do that?
So let's move from a car to a ship. Okay.
Or transportation.
Let's move from a car to a ship and think about Columbus. Think about any explorer, any navigator setting out to find the brave new world. What is he or she going to find? What kinds of weather, what kinds of shifts in the climb and in the conditions are they going to come across? And what if they suddenly look over and, oh my word, the new world they were headed for has been eclipsed by this amazing new universe over on the left. So, so coming back to more specifics, what I would say is this: head for a destination, but don't have blinders on, because you need to take a look at, you need to navigate with the shifts and changes, and you also need to see the new opportunities arising. The fact is, where you think you're headed and where you wind up will probably be two different things because of two things. Number one, nothing is constant. And number two, the way that you're able to navigate and master your world may also have to shift and change. You may be asked to take on new responsibilities, new roles, new ways of doing that you've never thought of before.
So don't limit yourself.
Don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. Set your sights and go, but keep that landscape lens on.
Wow. So, do you find that sometimes we are our own biggest problem?
Yes, absolutely. We find, and the reason that I use landscape lens is because we become myopic in our need for safety and security.
All
And
right,
what that means
that's a funny
is
word.
you,
What is that?
well, you know, when when your lens sort of closes in like a, not like a fisheye, but you don't see much past in front of you.
Too narrowly focused.
Too narrowly focused. And that again also is for two reasons. Number one, we're creatures of habit, safety, and security. We like to know how to navigate in our world,
Mm-hmm.
and we have that down. So good. This is all we're going to do, which means that we'll very often not be looking up to the horizon to see what's happening. So couple our need for safety and security with the fact that the landscape is roiling and changing, and you're headed for a collision, again to our vehicle analogy. And so whether that's a ship or a car, if you're not keeping your eye on the horizon and down the road, and not solely, let's go back to the car right in front of you, the bumper,
Right.
you might be headed for disaster.
Oh my goodness. So we're constantly in a state of transition, especially now where things
Yes.
are shifting almost day to day and week to week. So let's talk about transition mindset. You've got quite a bit to say about transition mindset. Um, how might we think about transitioning through or out of our current COVID environment?
So I love that you use that example, because transitioning out of COVID environment may be a misnomer.
Mm,
Maybe we're simply going to be transitioning, and maybe this is where we are now. This is the future state now.
okay.
We often say, "Oh, when will this be over?" Well, guess what? There's going to be another iteration, another shift somewhere that's going to happen. So instead of having the mindset that says, "Oh, as soon as this is over, I can go back to," we will never go back. As soon as this is over, there will be another wave. There will be another set of, winds and so forth. So we need to move from being ensconced in safety and security to saying, I wonder what's new. Let me be an explorer instead of being a self-proclaimed expert, because as long as we know how to navigate our world, we feel like we're expert. Let's become explorers. Let's become learners. Let go of that I need to know everything and delight in discovery.
Patty, that sounds scary.
It
You know,
sounds
wait,
scary.
let's go back to you said we like safety and security. Now you're scaring me saying we can't be set. We have to keep evolving and change. You're scaring me to death. Come on, Patty.
So, what do we need? What do we need personally in order to feel safe and secure in a state of exploration? So
Money.
that's the crux. What do we need? Can we find safety and security in exploration? And yes, we can. And here's what shifts in the business world. It used to be that we would stand up and present ourselves and say, I'm an expert in XYZ. I've done this, 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 and this. This is why you should hire me. That's no longer possible. By 2030, 800 million jobs will have shifted and changed. And COVID has actually accelerated that. What that means is the way that business will be run and is running now, and what people will be asked to do in the way of roles, responsibilities, and duties will massively change if you look at artificial intelligence and all the other disruptors. So back to, how do we present ourselves when we're on a job search, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not so much what I've done as to who I am. Who am I? What do I bring to the table? What are my key values? What are my drivers? What are my abilities? And think wider than I think of a person this morning who said to me, well, we've got to hire somebody who knows the Access program.
Okay.
And I said, really? And they said, yes, because that's the way we've run for 30 years. And I said, but I thought you were changing your whole IT system, and that would require that you develop a different software. Well, that's true. And I said, so really you need someone who is technically adept when it comes to working with and managing software. And she said, good grief, you're right. We've been so ensconced in this how we've done it always mindset that we haven't looked right in front of us to say, how does it need to be done now? When you are showing up for a job search, whether you are a frontline employee or a top executive, you need to lead with who you are, what's in it for them, why that makes a difference to the organization. That's key. And as I say, the values, how that shows up in your work, how that would better the organization that you're interviewing with, for example, and so forth. So talking more about team, about the relational, very highly prized. We have moved from a product-based business world to a relational world. And it is the relational, the social capital that you can bring and that you can develop that will help them get the job done.
That's an amazing. Okay, so let me just. You took me on a tangent here. My little brain just went sideways. I understand and agree that relations is it. I'm a big relations person. Relations. However,
yes,
given the COVID, given that our world has, say, taken a huge technological push forward because
yes.
we've had to become virtual overnight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how does that impact the relational part? Usually relations face to face, but now we're not. We're Zooming.
We are Zooming. We have to find new ways to connect. And you're right, face to face. I could get into the neuroscience of face to face. We won't go there. That's for another day.
Okay.
But the need for human connection and the need for developing the influence with others to roll along together is great. So what we're seeing right now in companies is a lot of isolation, a lot of disconnectedness, a lot of disengagement in some companies. But one of the companies that I support is incredible in connection. And what we have done together is to work on how to ramp up communications. What kinds of communication is meaningful? What kinds of touch bases are meaningful? How do we develop a culture of belonging, of togetherness, of team in a virtual age? And it can be done. It can, Ernie, I work from here to China.
Yeah.
And in some companies, they've had virtual satellite teams for decades. And so it can be done.
Is it perhaps something that it's new to us, but not necessarily new to many, right? Like global companies, operations are doing that. But to the average person, it's new. So those of us transitioning, how do we change? How do we get better at it?
So think about what you would like in the way of connectedness. For example, and that's such a great question, Ernie, because what a lot of businesses are doing is they're having a lot of meetings on Zoom and they're thinking, well, good, we did this. But the personal connection is what's missing. How are you? How's your family doing? What'd you do last weekend?
Right.
How did you set up your virtual office? If you don't connect with the personal, whether it's in face or more importantly, even in the virtual world, you're not going to develop the initial trust hook to be able to do business together. If I just come in and say to you, okay, Ernie, good morning. Let's get down to business. What's the agenda? Much different feel than if I say, hey, Ernie, how are you? What'd you do last weekend? Well, that's really cool. Dog doing okay? I heard you took him to the vet last week.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. Well, let's see. What are we going to work on this morning? We have established a personal connection. I have said to you, hey, you're a human being. I'm a human being. Let's recognize that for a moment. Let's take a moment. And I'm always shocked at the executives who say, I don't have time for that. I have 30 meetings today. And to that I say, shame on you. I think you'd better take a look at what you're doing and why you're having those meetings in the first place. There's a revamp there that I can help you with. But if you don't take the time to establish the human connection and that rapport, you can't move anybody. You will not get anything done on a long-term basis.
So we have to take the time to remember that the person on the other end of the drive-through speaker really has a face.
Really has a face.
There's a person there.
Really has a face. Later today, I'm going to conduct a 6-hour training. It's going to be with a company in Texas.
Right.
How am I going to keep those people, riveted in their seats and
Yeah.
paying attention?
Right.
We're going to make personal connections. We're going to do a few, games every once in a while. We're going to switch up voice every 6 to 7 minutes. It isn't rocket science, but it does take thought and care and intention. And Ernie, to that I say, we should already be doing that.
You
If
should be.
we think that this is big work, shame on us. We should have already been intentionally creating those connections face to face.
Right. Right. I think some of us have gotten lost in this virtual thing. We got caught up in the technology. We got caught up in, hey, my job's not the same anymore. I'm not going to my office. I know at Cal State, the big change was going from face-to-face classes to virtual online.
Yes.
And hey, I don't like this anymore. And I think our option to not like it is not an option.
It's not an option. But there are some tricks to virtual facilitation. We can't just get on together and conduct a meeting as per usual. There are some little nuances that we have to use to keep that engagement going. And that again is another show. But virtual facilitation has some specific requirements to keep people in the game together. But it can be done. It's not difficult.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I love it. All right, Patti, you are a leadership coach, a leadership expert. And so let's talk about leadership. Leadership now, more than ever, I'm going to imagine, is important. How so?
Yeah.
How is that important?
So leadership is important because think of this. We did talk a little while ago about how the world is changing and how we may not be able to do how we have done before.
Right.
So who you are and how you effectuate your work becomes key. And that's what companies are looking for now. They're not looking for access experts. They're looking for, do you have the agility to work with a team when changes come? Do you have the resilience to weather unexpected shifts? How do you bring people along? The relational is key. The emotional intelligence. Can you create bonds with other people and connection? Can you develop trust? Can you bring people along influencing through sharing, a vision for your team, for example, or where we need to head? Right. Those are the things that are important now.
So we're looking for people, even as candidates, people that we're looking to bring on, we're looking for people who can remain calm and not bring chaos. We already have chaos. We have lots of chaos.
Yes.
We don't need chaos.
Can we bring people in who are ready to be part of the solution rather than to hang back and sit in part of the problem? And it isn't that we have to have answers when we go interviewing. We have to show the willingness and the attitude.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you to unpack. How do we do that? How do we model? How do we promote? How do we demonstrate the ability to have that calmness or that innovative mentality? How do we do that?
I would say take a look at your last 2 or 3 jobs and ask yourself what you were most proud of. Ask yourself who you worked with, how they contributed, how you contributed. There's a good conversation about team so that when you're interviewing, they recognize that you recognize other people and it's not all about you.
Right.
Something that's a real turnoff for employers. They want to know, can you work well with others and how do you benefit the organization? Then ask yourself, what did you bring to the table as far as curiosity, as far as learning and development? Those are tops for organizations now. So go back and look at how you did things, how your work showed up, how it benefited the organization. And place the emphasis on what did you discover, what did you learn, what did you celebrate, rather than, well, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this. That's a real turnoff now to organizations.
Right. It's not about me, me, me.
It's about we, we, we.
It's about we. And what are you going to bring to us, and how are you going to make us better?
And that is the one connection, Ernie, I'm glad you brought that up, that most people miss in an interview. They're so busy rattling off, please love me. This is what I've done.
Please love me.
Please love me.
What my shirt says, please love me.
Right? Please love me. That they don't say, this is what I bring to the table, and this is how I see it might benefit you. I've taken a look at your website. I took a look at your last financial report or your 5-year plan or whatever that is. And one of the ways that I see that I might be able to contribute is my sense of exploration. I'm open to new and creative ideas. I'm, et cetera, et cetera. So make sure you connect with the what's in it for them, which is what most people do not do. We get nervous and we think, oh, pick me, look how wonderful I am.
know, needy puppy. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Desperation doesn't make for a good candidate.
No.
I often suggest to folks that are looking for new opportunity that they put themselves in role of consultant, if you will, in that you're looking like you just described. I looked at your website. I looked at your annual report. I looked at you as a company. Here's where I think I can assist you.
Yes.
Because it has to be a win-win. So is that worthwhile to consider yourself? And again, you're not a consultant per se when you come in, but you approach it as if, because now you're bringing value, not just.
You are. And I love what you're saying. And I will build on the shoulders of that to say, see, here's how I see I might be able to contribute or help.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Talk to me about what your priorities are. Talk to me about what that might look like. I notice that you're doing this. This is how I think I could help. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Get them to talk and ask questions. Don't wear the consultant hat, as you say, but don't pretend to be the expert. You're the explorer. This is what I contribute. This is what I bring. I think this might be of help. Is that something that the company might prize? Would that be helpful? Talk more about that particular project. I noticed that you want to give 100 more scholarships next year at CSUSB. Talk to me about the impact that might bring to the community. I'm interested in that. Help them to share their vision with you.
Right.
So that you can connect those dots.
Yeah, you didn't just show up for a job. You came to assist. You have a skill set. You are a professional. You can assist us in getting better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, instead of sitting there like a petrified person, just answering questions.
Look, and yes, Ernie, I love it because look, if you're right for it, if you show up at yourself, they will know that you're right for it. But if you show up as, oh, did I do this just right? And and I better say this, it's going to eclipse who you are to them. Relax. It's going to happen if you can show up as your best self, and that's a good fit for them.
But we're looking for win-win, right? We're not looking for job. We're looking for win-win. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because oftentimes candidates go into an interview and they're just looking to be employed. So whatever you say is fine, whatever you say is fine. And they walk out and they say, what the hell did I do?
Right.
They don't take, it has to work for both sides.
It does. So the first rule is know yourself, know thyself.
Yeah.
Who am I? What do I stand for? What are my values? How can I contribute? What are my drivers? What are my top strengths? Am I able to use these in this situation?
Right.
Secondly, know your BATNA. And BATNA is a negotiation term, which is basically your bottom line, because I've coached a lot of people on asking for more salary. And it's unfortunately, some of them come to me after they made the mistake. Because they said, well, I knew I had a budget and I knew I needed this, but they couldn't come up with it in cash, so they came up with it in benefits. And I said, well, will that help your budget flow? No. Okay. So know your bottom line before you go in. Because if you don't know your bottom line, anything will sound good at the moment, and you'll get up and say exactly what you said we say afterwards. So
you get caught up in it.
Yes. And so know your bottom line, because if you even smell that you're getting near it, you'll know when to push back as well. This is all about win-win.
It's okay to walk away, right? It's okay to walk away. Oh,
I have coached many executives in burnout because they didn't walk away. And they said, that's okay, I can do this for a while. But when you do that, neurologically or neuroscientifically, you spend $1 to get a penny back in return in energy, and you deplete yourself. You're no good to anybody. You do a subpar job. The organization doesn't know why exactly. It's not really just, sparkling in your area. It's not worth it.
So now you're wandering into the area of self-care, taking care of
Yeah.
yourself. I'm a little curious there. How should we, especially now with all the chaos and crisis, depending on where we find ourselves, but how do we make sure that we take care of ourselves?
So again, know yourself first and know what
Right.
balance means to you. There is no balance. It's never a 50-50. It's a calibration.
Mm,
And you may find that some of your top values are family, work ethic, and so forth and so on, but your values can collide. So when you're feeling out of whack, out of balance, not taking care of yourself, chances are that two of your values are fighting with each other. And
okay.
ask yourself what those are so that you can renegotiate. Secondly, self-care includes downtime. A lot of us have experienced downtime during this COVID period. But here's what I saw yesterday. I got on the freeway and it was back to action, even on a Sunday.
Yep.
Everybody was powering down the road as though they said, oh, wow, this is over. Oh, wait, this is really massively packed tight. I don't like this. Where is that nice, easy, calmer COVID kind of environment? Because we haven't negotiated. We haven't said, hey, look, do you like this? Maybe you should have more of this. Take your inventory. Ask yourself what you're doing in your life that's maybe a nice to do or a nice to have, but not
Mhm.
necessarily a need to do right now. And
Right.
turn it down.
Wow.
Go on an activity diet. I challenge you. I challenge all of us to go on an activity diet. What is most important to you right now? You
Yeah.
can get to the rest later, or as Oprah says, you can have it all, just not all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that because you're one, I'm one. We know lots of other busy people, and we often say we're probably doing too much. In reality, we already know we're doing too much.
We know it. We
We
know it.
already know it.
You know it. I know it.
If
Yeah.
you think you are, you're way past that. You're just failing to acknowledge that you already know you're doing too much, and
You
it's
are.
okay to back it off a little bit.
It's okay to back it off a little bit. Take an inventory of the main areas of your life. If you're
Mhm.
not supporting yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, take a walk, okay, and so forth, then you're not doing yourself any good. Now you're living to work instead of working to live, or whatever it is you're doing. Um, Many people come to me, many executives will say, well, I don't have time to go to the gym. And I'll say, well, do you have time to get on a treadmill at home? Well, yeah, but I want to go to the gym. Well, clearly you're not going to the gym.
Not now.
You got to order the treadmill. Okay.
Mhm.
Ask yourself what's going to get the job done. Don't get so stuck on, well, I can't go on a 2-week vacation, so I guess I won't have any time off. It's
Right.
how can I get some breather time off because of the circumstances right now? Those are the
Yeah.
kinds of conversations we need to be having.
I suggest what would happen if you turned off your cell phone for one whole day?
Oh, the panic that arises.
What if we didn't check our social media for one whole day? Oh my God, right?
So now I coach a lot of young people in companies in the software tech industry because most of them are 28 to 35 years old or
Right.
young. So I mention that and everybody just kind of looks around like, is she crazy? So I will say, see this thing right here?
Hmm.
Okay, the first step I want you to do is to turn it over because I will bet you that every single one of you has it right in front of your computer. And then they all look down like, oh, whoops, is she looking at me? And so I said, the first thing I want you to do is turn it over so you don't see when it flashes.
Yep.
And then after you get used to that 3 or 4 days, put it over on the left side and then put it down on the floor. And for those of you panicking at the thought, I want you simply to set an alarm every 30 minutes on your computer so you get to see your phone. So we wean off. So the problem with change, with personal change, Ernie, is when we say, hey, I want to lose 50 pounds, or hey, I'm no longer going to have a tech day, is that it's such a big leap that most people don't make it. And then they beat themselves up and say, I guess I'm a failure.
It's like eating the elephant, right?
It is baby steps.
Yep.
So just inch it out because the brain says, oh, look, nobody died. Oh, look, nobody died.
It's
So baby
sad.
step it out.
It's
Baby
so
step it
sad.
out. Yes, yes.
Oh my God. Okay, let's shift gears real quick. Sorry. I'm shifting I'm just going off on tangents here. Social capital.
Yes,
You recently did an article on social capital.
yes.
What is that?
That is what will shoot most new executives or new employees in the foot.
Mm.
What they'll do is they'll sit down with their employers and say, if they're savvy, they'll say, okay, this is what you want me to do. Can we work on an interim plan of what you want me to accomplish so I can show you what I can do?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Here's what we forget to do. Who else should be involved? Who should I get to know? Who are the other team players? And decide that. You're going to get to know them. Make those connections. Be a giver and not a taker. Ask them how you can help. Get to know their area of responsibility. See how you intersect, both of you together. Have those conversations, because as you have those conversations, you're developing relationships. And
Right.
as you look to say, how can I help you in your area, you're putting emotional money in the bank with them that you can call on when you need it. You're developing your influence quotient is another way to say social capital.
Okay.
Do I have the influence with others? Do I have the emotional money in the bank with them for us to collaborate? And then don't forget to reciprocate when they help you.
Oh, reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
Is that a problem for some people? Reciprocity?
It's a problem. Some people think I'll develop social capital. I'll go around and get to know all the other stakeholders so that I know how to get my stuff done.
Mm. Mm.
And notice the I again. That's got to just completely go.
Okay.
It's so that we can get the work done that we need to support the organization, to make impact. The onus now, by the way, again, is on team. It's not an individual. Even if they are looking for a top executive, they're looking to see how well you play with team. There's enough research out there to tell us how much money you're actually losing when you feed a racehorse on your team who doesn't play well with others. There's a lot of money you lose. You may see some money come in. I coached a gal who was bringing in $13 million a year on her own. So everybody said, don't touch her. She's awful. She doesn't work with anybody. But don't touch her. She brings in 13 million a year all by herself. So I went around and I did discovery sessions to find out what the rest of the team was not able to do because she wasn't a player, and quantified that they were losing 20 million a year by not asking her to play well.
Mm.
So back to team.
Yes.
How well do I work with others? How well how do I lead personally if I'm not the lead? How do I contribute? What impact have we made? What impact would I like to make for you and the team here?
So it's a matter of learning to let others do for you as well as you doing for others. And sometimes overachievers,
that's a tough one. Yes.
Overachievers have a problem allowing things to be done for them because it feels like it's a sign of weakness. Well, if I let you help me, then I must be weak.
Yes. And if I let you help me, you may not be as good as I am. So it may not be good when I see the product. Yes. Nasty, naughty little voices like that.
Stop, you're killing me.
Oh, yes. Understanding if we have a shared negotiation at the beginning as to what it needs to look like, there are many ways to get there. Many ways to get there.
Understanding
so
what we're looking after. Yeah, understanding what we're trying to do before we do it.
Yes, absolutely.
You have a catchy phrase on your website suggests raising your influence in 5 seconds or less. How do you do that? Raise your influence in 5 seconds.
By shutting the heck up and listening.
That's called dead air. That's difficult. I can't do that. I can't just listen.
Yes, you can. You're a great listener. I know you
can't talk.
Don't be modest. So, right, raising your influence in 5 seconds is stopping and seeking to understand first, so the other person is heard. We have to remember that until the other person has been heard, they can't hear you very well. They've still got stuff in their mind, and they have stuff to say, and all of this. So when you're in a position where you want to invite them to play, you need them, you want to wield your influence in any way, stop and listen and be genuine about it. This is not a manipulative thing. This is actually simply knowing what is needed in order to work better together. So Stop and listen. Ask questions. Ask the second question. If you and I, and Ernie, you and I do this naturally together. We're good friends. And so we have some social capital road that we've traveled.
Yep.
But for those listening who have not had the benefit of hearing us dialogue back and forth, something that you do very often that I appreciate as a coach is you'll say, well, what about this? And I'll talk about it. And you'll say more about that. Or you'll say, what else? Okay, that tells me two things. You're really listening and you're interested in hearing more. And I'm going to dig deeper to give you some deeper conversation that I would have otherwise.
Right.
And so doing those kinds of things is what's going to develop your influence very, very quickly.
Right. See, when you hang around smart people like you, Patti, then I want to know more. I want to know more. I want to know more. So I'm going to make you work. See, whenever we have a conversation, I want to dig into the lexicon. I want to know more. See, so I make you work when we have a conversation.
Oh my goodness.
So this is part of the balancing then. We talked about balance earlier, and really it isn't balance as much as an integration, but you need to learn to listen almost as well as you speak, right? You need to learn to take as well as you give.
Yes.
Right. Be a little balanced. Don't be one-sided. This is the new shaping of the modern professional, if it will, the new age that just seems to be evolving before our eyes. Right? So we're searching a new balance, an integration of skill sets.
We are. And remember, it is no longer about I, but it is a we. And I know that sounds a little kitschy.
No,
Here's what I mean by that. What impact can we make together? How can I contribute so that together we can make a greater impact?
That's it. That's amazing. I love it. We're going to end here. Thank you so much. Patti, you do coaching and speaking seminars, so forth. How would someone get a hold of Patti Cotton?
So Patti at patticotton.com. My website has a contact form. And so people can fill that out, or they can email me at Patti with an I at patticotton.com. That's
Patti at Patti Cotton. I think I can probably remember that one. And you have a website as well. Can I go to your website? What's the website address?
patticotton.com.
Oh, another tough one.
Yeah, another big one. And on the front, if you're interested, how much do others trust you is a free giveaway that I have on the front of my website to help people develop the trust with others.
How much do others trust you? That's another show. Can you come back and talk about trust sometime, maybe?
Oh, absolutely. It's my favorite.
That's amazing.
I do with high-performing teams. It's my sweet spot.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, we're going to stop right here and put the end on this one. Thank you so much, Miss Patti, for being with us today. Remember, you can find Silver's Connection at the MBA YouTube channel. That's MBA CSUSB on YouTube. You can find us there. You can also find us on social media on LinkedIn and Facebook. If you have a question or a comment or a concern, you want to know more about a guest that you've seen or heard here on Silver's Connection, you can email us at mba@csusb.edu. That's mba@csusb.edu. And that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much, Patti. It's been an honor and a pleasure. That's all for now. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.